from 7 to 8 p.m. highlights of local sports around the Cayman Islands. Sports Extra.
It's amazing to see the improvement of the team.
Sports Extra, keeping you informed.
All right, good evening and welcome to Radio Cayman's Sports Extra. I'm your host, DIONNE ANGLIN, and we have two special guests in the studio. But let me get started first, because from the gridiron to the goal line, of course, this season is rewriting the playbook, and we're here for every snap. So welcome to Sports Extra, of course, where Cayman Sports Pulse meets the power plays of the NFL and college football. So today we're joined by special guests who know the ins and outs of American football. And to my right, we have Mr. Loxley Banks, the former director of Radio Cayman. Good evening.
Glad to be here.
All right. It's good to have you here. Also, we have the Minister of Education. Should be Minister of Sports too then?
Oh, no.
He's sitting in here with me.
That's starting the rumors.
Mr. Ralston Anglin, good evening and welcome to you.
Thank you. Thank you for having us.
You're very welcome. So from rookie breakouts to playoff shakeups, we're breaking down the matchups, the momentum, and what it all means for fans, for players, and the future of American football. So whether you're tuning in from Georgetown or even Gainesville, because I have a few listeners abroad, stay tuned. This is a conversation you don't want to miss.
Did you know that HPV, or human papillomavirus, is known to cause certain types of cancer? HPV is spread through skin-to-skin contact and easy to contract. The HPV vaccine is our best protection against HPV-related cancers. It is safe for children and youth ages 9 and up, and for those under the age of 25, all it takes is a single dose. It's time to arm against cancer, Cayman. Get the HPV vaccine today. For more information on where to get vaccinated, contact the Public Health Department on 244-2648 or 244-2889.
Are you feeling overwhelmed, sad, stressed out, or suicidal and need support? Call 1-800-534-6463. K-Mind, Mental Health Helpline. It's okay to ask for help. K-Mind Mental Health Helpline, available from 6 p.m. to 11 p.m. Monday to Friday. It's free and confidential support and guidance on your emotional and psychological health.
The Buzz is powered by the team that keeps you moving on the road or in the water. Automotive Art. Whether it's your car, boat, or wave runner, they've got the expert touch with Yamaha certified staff and a passion for performance. From oil changes, brakes, and alignments to batteries, tires, and servicing, Automotive Art has got the parts and the people to back them up. Your car, our passion. That's Automotive Arts. Proud sponsor of The Buzz every Tuesday and Thursday morning, 7:30 to 9:30, right here on Radio Cayman 89.9 FM.
Satisfaction is guaranteed 24 hours a day, whether it's music or information.
From Grand Cayman to Cayman Brac to Little Cayman, we've got you covered.
You ever hear a thing like that?
Radio Cayman in the Cayman Islands.
All right, welcome back to Radio Cayman Sports Extra. Loxley Banks, Ralston Anglin in the studio here with me for Sports Extra just to talk about the NFL and what's happening with the NFL season and college football season. And we can start things off talking about some matchups and strategy. We're seeing Mr. Banks here wearing his hat, the hat for his team, the Miami Hurricanes, right? How are they doing this season, Mr. Banks?
Well, they got out of the box really strong, and they're 2-0 already. But
They're like in fifth.
Yeah, they're ranked fifth in the
right
top
now.
25, and they got I believe, Raleigh, it could be a kind of tough match coming up with South Florida because they were for a long time before I think they were in the top 25 some years back, but now they re-entered with two wins over over ranked teams.
Right, right.
Absolutely. I mean, South Florida is, from a college football standpoint, Dion, a relatively new program, right? They're not a blue blood. They're not like an Ohio State, my alma mater, or a Alabama, or one of those teams that's been around for a long, long time. And so they've built a very good, solid program. But to have opened the season the way they have, which is to defeat two ranked teams. They went into Florida. I heard you said you had some Florida fans on the show. I think they're too happy. They went into the swamp, into Gainesville, and beat University of Florida at home. You know, last minute field goal and all. That was impressive. So I think the Hurricanes, or the U, you know, they have a sneaky tough matchup. I think they're going to win. I think they have the pieces, even from last year. They got the pieces to be a good team. They're number 5. They opened. The thing that I've said to Mr. Banks is, I said, look, both of us have opened with impressive wins. We opened and beat the number 1 team in the Texas Longhorns.
Texas, yes.
They opened
14-7.
Yes, they opened and beat Notre Dame.
Yes.
So, you know, both teams are off to good starts.
They are.
Both
yes,
top 5 teams.
Yes.
So right now, you would say that both of us are riding high.
But, you know, I think just to set this whole thing up, I think, you know, many people, listeners, don't, I don't think they have the full knowledge of Cayman's affinity with U.S. football, college, and NFL, you know, which goes back a long time. I mean, from the early 50s, there was a Parsons down there, a Parsons in Texas, a Parsons and a Ebanks. They played for the Aggies, the Texas A&M.
Oh, nice.
Yes, and over the years, there has been quite a number of Caymanians that have really made it big in top the top echelon of college football. Right. And of course, from my standpoint, what I've seen over the years, I think Cayman has a big following of NFL and college football. You know, it's
we have the much softer league playing here, right, in Cayman, the flag football.
Yeah.
Right, but they're all huge fans of the game.
Yeah. I mean, and you know, like I say, you know, it's been around for a long time. There was also a big star that played for SMU. I think it was some years ago. Actually, he was a Ebanks, but his father changed his name to. Well, his name was Howell Ebanks. He changed last name to Howell, so that's how he went in. But you hear Howell, that's Ebanks, you know.
And you know, Dion, to take a step back, and that's an important point. Lockie has and Raul Smith and others have taught me a lot about the history of Cayman Connection. But before we start, and I've been on this show on and off, I guess, over 15 years now. I think it would be remiss if we didn't start off by saying there have been so many people who've passed through and been on this show that you know, that we owe a debt of gratitude to. Because I can remember coming in here with our good friend Raul Smith, God bless his soul, and we said that to him and to his family, and him coming on and hearing both of them talk about
him and Mr. Banks
talk about the history
of the sport. Yeah.
They taught me stuff that I had no idea existed in terms of Caymanians not only playing at high school level, at real quite quality high school level. I remember one year we called and there was a Danny that played, I think you said it was Carroll City in Miami.
Well, Miami High, Donnie Bodden, and we've got that clip. We're going to replay it tonight just to re-familiarize the public with really what we're talking about.
Right. So here you got a Caymanian who was up in Miami playing big-time high school football in the 50s.
Yeah, no, mid-60s.
Mid-60s, right? I mean, and again, I think a lot of people now who are American football fans, who are Caymanians, would never have known that. And it's that history that really attracted me to always wanting to come on the show. So whenever Mr. Banks calls, no matter if I'm busy, and I must tell you that I got special leave for my colleagues, to leave caucus, because the caucus is actually still going on right now. But I said to them, I said, listen, one of the things that we sometimes don't pay enough attention to is some of the things that make up the fabric of Cayman, right?
Yes,
and a lot of people think, oh, well, we just jumped on the bandwagon, it's close to the U.S. But then when I start hearing these stories about the under 50s and 60s and Caymanians and people in the Cayman diaspora moving to the States and their children playing not just high school football, but college football at these highly recognized institutions like a Texas A&M, that just blew my mind. And one thing that I'm going to say, and I know that Mr. Banks will probably disagree with me, but but I'm going to be lobbying. Well, I'm lobbying right now, the director, that we ought to give this show a special name and a special recognition, because Mr. Banks has tried to do this every year.
Yes.
So we should have something maybe like the Loxley Banks NFL
right? Special,
preview show. And
I agree.
Because I think sometimes in Cayman, we have never done a really good job at institutionalizing certain things that are unique to Cayman. And then when the person who was the author or part of it transitions on, it just loses out, and then it's just forgotten. And so I think that we should have something to memorialize this show and make sure that in the future years we continue the show, because I think it's important for us to remember. Because if we don't remember and talk about these things that we've been taught, then that part of our history just disappears.
And it gets buried.
And it's get buried, right? So 5-10 years from now, you'll be, oh yeah, they used to do this show, but nobody remembered about the Donnie Bawden who participated in one of the biggest rivalries in Florida, American football sports.
Right.
I mean, who knew, right?
Yeah.
Well, I think this is a good point to get into. If
Mr. Production can
Mr. Production
take us straight into our recording there.
And let me just set it up. It's I think about a 6-minute clip here with Donnie Bawden and Raul Smith, and I think I may say a few words in there somewhere. But we're talking about Donnie Bawden, who played top-notch high school football in Miami during the mid-'60s. He had opportunities to go to any college in the world that he wanted, and he said he just wasn't interested, and it'll come out in the audio here. So, operator, JJ, Iceman. Roll it.
I went to Miami Senior High School and grew up in the 50s, and there was only like 4 high schools: Miami High, Coral Gables, Edison, and Jackson. There's so many now. And with the Super Bowl coming, and the last pro football team to go undefeated was the Dolphins, 17-0. And I look back on my high school career playing football at Miami High, and we were on all 3 years of high school. We were undefeated, never lost a game. And as a senior, we were city, state, and national. And I don't think they have a national playoff today. I think USA newspaper names like what they think is the number 1 team.
Yes.
So it was an honor to play, and we played our games on Thursday night in the Orange Bowl. So we would win a big game, and you'd come back to school on Friday. And it was still, pretty cool.
Well,
you didn't have the weekend to lose the thrill of winning a big game, because the University of Miami played on Friday night and the Dolphins played on Sunday. And I often think about that when they, play a game when they said the only team was the Dolphins were 17-0 and we were undefeated. I think back in Miami when I was growing up in the 50s. Sports was different. The neighborhoods were different. Everybody played together. You knew everybody's family, everything like that. And I look back on that and playing sports at the different parks and playing one neighborhood against the other neighborhood and sports, softball. I can see where we could be when we got to high school. We knew what positions we wanted to play, because growing up as kids, we played that position and were good at it, So we kind of gelled together, I guess, going through that situation of playing sports from the time we were young in the same location in the neighborhoods and stuff like that.
Well,
knowing everybody, that it kind of helped to get that record,
Yeah, well, sports has a great disciplinary element in it, and it teaches young folks quite a bit. Raul is around the table here with us. I think you played against him at Edison.
Edison, yeah. How you doing, Raul?
Doing good, cuz.
I haven't seen you in
Yeah, as they say, in a long, long time.
Yeah.
Yeah. You played on Thursday night, especially Thanksgiving. The next day, I had all day to think about that after you beat us again.
Yeah, we played you guys for the state championship, didn't we?
That year, I think you played Gables, didn't you?
Yeah, it was one of them.
Yeah.
We played, the state and then the city and then the national.
Yeah,
At the time when we played for the national championship, it was the sports writers wrote up a team in California, a team in Georgia, and then a Baltimore Polytech, which was a boys' school. And that's who we played in the Orange Bowl. We beat them 21-7.
Yeah,
the write-up in the paper was Miami High plays the Baltimore Colts. Baltimore Polytech.
Yeah, back in them days, they used to bring down all these teams from Ohio and Baltimore Tech. There was that one in Ohio, the big team, Massillon, and all them, and someone out of Louisiana, and I think we got some out of Texas.
Yeah.
And they came down to Miami. And they went back crying like a bunch of babies.
Well, I heard you talking about a football player that played in for Florida State.
Yes.
I don't know his name, but that was Edsel Panton's son.
Right. Yes, I know Mr. Edsel's son. Yeah. And talking about those games in Orange Bowl, especially Miami High Gables or Miami High Edison and Jackson, because they were the big games. They'd draw 40,000, 50,000 people in the Orange Bowl.
It was unbelievable. The opposing team sat on one side, and if we played, we sat on the other side, and it was, the Orange Bowl was big. And
yeah, well, the Orange Bowl is a storied stadium, and tell us. I remember seeing your name splashed all over the Miami Herald sports page. Mike, it might have been front page when you threw that, what was it, the long 31, 45-yard half-back pass? Because you played half-back, right?
Yeah. Well, I was a pretty good athlete. I played defensive back, offensive back, and took punts and kickoffs. The only time I didn't play was when we kicked off for the other team.
I'm sure you must have had some real good offers from some of the colleges, Florida State, Miami.
Yeah, I had University of Miami, Florida State, talk to me and send me letters and stuff like that. But luckily, I tell you, I wasn't too interested in school, and going on. So, but sometimes I think about it. I didn't miss much because I don't know what, a different direction. I kind of feel I'm retired here in a retirement community in Tampa, and I feel like I didn't miss out on too much.
Well, just to give you a little background about Donnie, his parents from West Bay, they were born up there at the end of Bogasan Road, and in fact some of the Caymanians around Miami at the time when you were playing excellent football, saying we think he's got some of that Bogasan dig in him.
Well, I tell you what, when I was growing up in the 50s, there was like a Caymanian community around the area, A lot of the people knew each other, and my mother was a real good cook, and they, I guess what they call a rundown.
Yeah, oh yeah.
And they would, anything they could cook up to get to my mother's house or our house to eat, buddy, it was a big shindig.
Yeah, and
when I played high school football, the coach would tell you, tonight just eat something like Jell-O or something like that. And when I'd get home, my mother'd have a big fish too, or red beans and sea pie ready for me to eat. It didn't bother me. It was too good to not have it.
Shaken yet standing firm. This is Radio Cayman in the Cayman Islands.
All right, Mr. Banks. That was a very good interview.
Yeah, well, Donnie is just one among a lot of them. There was a MacArthur Frankton, who actually he died in a auto accident in his sophomore year at Florida. But he played for Chamberlain. He was the big star at Chamberlain.
Chamberlain High in Tampa?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I mean, he had offers from everybody on the terrain back in those days, but he chose to go to Florida, and and I think he would have started in his junior year at Florida at halfback.
Okay, and Dionne, people know that I can talk a little bit, right?
A little.
And you note in that clip, you didn't hear me. You didn't hear a peep.
Yeah.
I was in the studio that night,
Yes.
and I was so enthralled at the conversation and listening to Mr. Bodden speak and clearly having those fond memories of his participation. But no, I mean, that piece of the history, I think, is critically important. But I guess we need to also talk about what Mr. Banks and I think about the upcoming season. Because we are after all a preview show, right? We're supposed to be going out on the limb and making sure that we put down and we etch in the sand, you know who we think are going to do what, right?
Yeah, definitely.
So that is an important feature of the show.
Yes.
Of course, we're at the beginning of the season, so who knows what, right? You don't know who's going to get injured. You don't know who's going to really emerge, especially in college, right? College is so much more transitory than the NFL because of the fact that players get drafted.
Yes.
And move on to the NFL.
Okay.
And so that whole aspect of college football one season to the next, you can have a real huge shift, right? Take my alma mater. So we're the defending national champions, but our quarterback is now in the NFL.
Yes.
Quarterback, is the most important position. And we now have a kid who is only played two college football games. He's only ever started 2 games. So literally you're starting over from scratch. You got a talented roster.
Right.
But at the most important position, you're still starting from scratch. Their quarterback got drafted number 1 overall, Cam Ward.
Yes. Tennessee.
So, to the Tennessee Titans. So clearly, they have a big hole at quarterback this year as well. And so that is the dynamic, I think, that a lot of people who are casual observers of the sport don't realize is just how much of a shift you can have in your fortunes purely because of the fact that college players move on to the NFL, or they age out of the system and no longer have any eligibility.
Start fresh.
And so the team literally sometimes can be starting fresh. Now the more powerful, quote, programs recruit extremely well to avoid that. And that's the key thing, is the recruiting, and then these days with the transfer portal and the fact you can now pay players.
And how do you feel about your new QB? He said he's only 2 games in.
Oh, he's fine.
How promising is he?
For first quarterback in the history of the NCAA to beat the number 1 team in his first start.
Exactly.
But I brag a bit. No, I feel extremely good.
Confident in him.
He has done extremely well, and in fact, his start line this Saturday, whilst we were playing a much undermanned team, a team that we were supposed to beat, we were 40-something point favorites in Vegas, but still, you still have to play the game.
Oh, yes.
He was 18 of 19 for over 300 yards and 4 touchdown passes.
Look at that.
His only incompletion was an underthrow that got intercepted. So literally, for the entire game, none of his balls hit the turf.
That's amazing.
So he was
that's
really
a very
on
good
point.
start.
Yeah, so I feel very, very good about him. But what I feel better about is how strong our defense is.
Okay.
To have held Texas and that powerful offense with Arch Manning, of that Manning
legacy
and bloodline in American football, to hold that team to 7 points was, in my opinion, probably is going to be one of the better performances for the year.
I have here some Week 1 highlights in Ohio State, as you mentioned, versus Texas, 14-7. A defensive slugfest between preseason 1 and 3. Arch Manning showed flashes, but struggled under pressure. We have Auburn 38 defeating Baylor 24. Auburn's run-heavy offense dominated time of possession, and their quarterback Jackson Arnold rushed for 137 yards. Then we had Nebraska. They defeated Cincinnati 20-17. Dylan Raiola spread the ball well, but Nebraska's defense lacked sacks and gave up 7 yards per carry. We also had South Florida 34 beating Boise State 7. A major upset, as I think you mentioned that earlier. Boise was a group of 5 favorite, but USF shut them down after the first quarter.
Yeah, I think some of the surprises that came out that has come out of the first 2 weeks is Clemson, powerhouse, and also there was the Georgia-Tennessee or Georgia
matchup as well.
Yes, and that's coming up this weekend. But like Raleigh said, it's still a lot of football to go, and
thinking of
injuries. But I think the top, if you look at the top 5, let's say Ohio State 1, Penn State next, LSU, Oregon, Miami, and Georgia, and Texas and Notre Dame. They're all strong teams, and anything could happen. And with some of the matchups that's coming up, like this week, Clemson is playing Georgia Tech, which is no pushover.
Speaking of that, which Week 3 game are you circling as a tone setter? There's LSU versus Georgia or Penn State versus Iowa?
Well, Georgia and LSU, but do they play this weekend? That's the game that's coming up. I think LSU plays Florida.
In Week 3.
Oh.
Week 3. So that's not this week. That'll be the next week, right?
No, this is Week 3.
This is Week 3 here.
This
okay.
Week 3, yeah.
So that is LSU versus Georgia, and Penn State is playing Iowa. Is that what you have?
Penn State, as far as I know, is playing Villanova.
Okay.
I believe.
All right. So I could have switched that around here.
Oh.
Okay, that's pretty good.
So it's a lot of but Tennessee and Georgia, that's one you can look at, and actually Notre Dame and Texas A&M. So things could kind of get bubbled a bit here on this weekend already.
Absolutely, and it's actually so we have a bunch of top matchups this weekend. So LSU is actually playing Florida.
Yeah.
Now Florida just lost to USF, but look, a loss on a last-second field goal. You can't make any excuses for it. But bottom line is, LSU can't go in and underestimate Florida. Right? They cannot underestimate the Gators. So just last week, the Gators were number 12, right? So if they'd won, the Gators would be in theory in the top 10. So this would have been a top 10 matchup. So that ought to be a good one. But Notre Dame is playing Texas A&M, number 8 versus 16. So that ought to be another good ranked team versus ranked team. But as Alexis said, the highlight of this week is number 6 Georgia against number 15 Tennessee. That's going to be the marquee matchup for the week. And so, the winner of that game is obviously going to have a leg up in the SEC because they will have gotten a win over another a ranked team. But when you take the big conferences and you break them down, and you see that there's not been a lot of contraction because the Pac-12, what was the old Pacific 12 conference, the vast majority of all their teams are now in my conference, which is the Big Ten.
Big Ten. Yeah.
So USC, UCLA, Oregon, who is currently ranked number 4, all of them are now in the Big Ten, and that has been a big addition for us. The fact that we've been able to get high quality blue blood programs like them into the conference. So I think given where we are, we not only have a lot of football to be played, but the fact is these early matchups are going to be much less indicative than when we get down to about week 10, Dion. That is when you're going to see where teams are at, because by then injuries will have set in.
Right.
You'd really, really see what the pattern is, right? Because you take Florida again. I mean, I go back to them. Okay, so they got upset by USF, but they were ranked 12 for a reason. So someone somewhere, the voters on the rankings saw a lot of talent on that squad, right? So you can't just write off a team. Florida State is ranked number 10.
And I don't think they were really expected to be this strong.
They weren't. They upset Alabama in week 1.
Yes.
Right? and so already you see some early jostling, but you gotta get week 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. That's when the separation is going to happen. That's when the teams with the depth, with the focus, with the leadership and the maturity, that's when it's really, really going to set in. And culture. I think a lot of people don't realize in all sports how important culture is. How do teammates get along? How are they accountable to each other? How much you play for the person next to you? It's a huge important thing in sports, and a lot of times you get teams with individually good players, but then they don't gel as a team.
No chemistry.
Right.
No chemistry. Because they don't have that culture. They don't have that brother or sisterhood, no matter, irrespective of what type of sport, whether it's male or female team sports that you're talking about. So the one thing that I like and that I feel good about my Buckeyes is I feel very confident that Ryan Day, who I admit I wanted fired last year after the loss to the team up north. Yes, I did. He has set an incredible culture at our university. And to see those young men rally after a soul-crushing defeat. And in fact, 4 years ago, they would never have even gotten into the playoffs. So thank God that there's a proper playoff now. And there you go. They were the number 8 seed, but ran the table and became the national champions, right? On the way defeating the top 4 teams, I think it was. But the legacy, the culture that he's built is something that I think is going to be a huge strength for us. That is a tightly knit program. They take great pride in what they do. They take pride and accountability to each other. Honestly, if I was to look at the top 25 as it stands right now, I think the biggest threat is probably going to be a lot of people. Penn State is number 2. So we're number 1, Penn State is number 2. So Big Ten has the top 2 teams. Honestly, I just see Penn State just always finds a way to mess it up. I mean, James Franklin just always finds a way to mess up in the big game. Everybody keeps saying, well, it's this year. Well, you know what? If you're talented, if you keep saying it enough, it will be a year, 1 year.
Yeah, at least.
But I'm still keeping my eye on the same Texas team that we beat.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Georgia, I think, is going to be there again. And I can tell you, even though Miami beat Notre Dame, I think Marcus Freeman has built, again, a great culture at Notre Dame. And I think Notre Dame is going to be there somewhere in the mix at the end. The U, let's wait and see.
Yeah, well, we'll have to wait and see. They got some tough opponents coming up. And,
but no doubt, they're a talented team. They deserve to be number 5. And given the fact that they're in the ACC, I think that's going to be a good benefit for them because the conference is weaker than the SEC or the Big Ten. So I think that's going to give them a real opportunity to be there with a high seed at the end of the season once they can run the table.
Okay. So this Saturday, who's your team playing this Saturday?
We're playing Ohio U.
Okay.
Yeah. It's a bad city. Oh, yeah. You see this?
He's bragging already.
Dion, we're 32-point favorites.
Yes.
You know, so yes, any team can beat any other team on a given day. But the fact is, this is supposed to be a relatively easy win for us.
Right.
So we really don't get into the teeth of our schedule. The thing that I loved about our schedule initially, of course, you know, you're like, oh, you're playing Texas the first week. But when I thought about it, I said, you know what? If we're going to lose in week 1.
Yeah.
Get it
it's
out
the best
of the way.
time to get it out of the way.
Get it out of your system. But to see the defensive performance we had, that told me that the pro-style defensive coordinator that we brought in, Matt Patricia, who was a legendary defensive coordinator for Bill Belichick with the New England Patriots, there was doubts about him transitioning to the college game. But after 2 weeks, it's clear that he is connecting with those college players. So,
Belichick, that is.
No.
Who are you talking about?
No, Matt Patricia. Matt
Okay.
Patricia was Bill Belichick's defensive coordinator in
gotcha,
New England.
gotcha.
He himself moved on and got a head coaching job in the NFL, but then he got fired. He's now the defensive coordinator at Ohio State.
Gotcha.
So he's moved from the NFL, which is a rare move.
Yeah.
Very rarely do you see an ex-NFL head coach.
Yeah, move to the college level.
At coordinator.
Yeah.
He didn't even move to be a head coach.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you, he has implemented a bunch of pro style concepts, and it's showing up. So I feel good about our defense, Dion. So
you go back to, and I guess this was 1983 when Schnellenberger came from the Baltimore Colts to Miami, and actually initiated this pro style, offense, and in the championship game in 1983 in Nebraska. They had All-American quarterback. They had the Heisman Trophy winner. They had a All-American Steinkiller, I think, lineman and Fryer. They were loaded, and nobody thought, well, they're going to go into Miami. But there was one quarterback, Glenn Dawson, and he had won a Super Bowl some years prior to that. He said, no, he said, the pro style that Miami is running is going to confuse these people. And before the second quarter was over, Miami was up 14-0. Of course, they took it down to the end, and they won by 1 point because Nebraska went for the 2-point conversion. But it was the pro-style offense, and a lot of colleges now have employed that. They bring these former pro people in, and they integrate it in within what you'd call the college
college game. Yeah.
All right. We're going to take a short break and we'll get back to it. We'll talk a little bit more of the coaches and, of course, rankings and realignment and all that. All right. So stay tuned. More Sports Extra in a minute.
Where your group works can have many sounds, telephones ringing, machines humming, or even waves crashing. But no matter what sounds your group hears when they're working, BAF Insurance has a health insurance plan for your group. You can always count on BAF for affordable, flexible group and individual health insurance plans with professional, friendly customer service. We are BAF. Call us at 949-5089. Your health is our priority.
Diabetic retinopathy is the most serious eye condition associated with diabetes. It affects the delicate tissue of the retina and can cause visual impairment or blindness. Let me encourage you. If you have diabetes, make sure you get a dilated pupil exam every year. It's painless and it only takes a few minutes. This message was brought to you by the Lions Club of Tropical Gardens. Accept the challenge, united in service. This PSA has been sponsored by Radio Cayman 89.9 FM.
Sports. Stay up to date on your sports news with Radio Cayman Monday through Friday at 7 a.m., 6 p.m., and 10 p.m. It's all about sports.
Shaken yet standing firm.
I was not built to break.
This is Radio Cayman in the Cayman Islands.
All right, welcome back to Radio Cayman Sports Extra. We're here with our Minister of Education, Mr. Ralston Anglin, and our former director. I was going to say something, but I'll leave it there. Our former director of Radio Cayman.
You'll have to tell me later.
I'll tell you later. Mr. Loxley Banks. King's Award. You said King's Award.
Oh, yes.
That's right. Yeah, that's right. The King's Award. That's right. That's right. And so we were talking off the mic during the break about the nil money that these athletes receive in sports now. So, they're in basketball, in NFL, they're receiving these high amounts of money. I remember when I played college ball, I wished for $50 from my coach. These kids are receiving millions. What are some of the advantages and disadvantages of the nil money, you guys think?
Well, there's always been the thought that, these college players give up so much playing football, and there was a time when they only got Joe Namath. And that's a name that, synonymous with football, NFL. When he was playing at the University of Alabama, and he said all he got was laundry money. They called it laundry money because it was against the law to pay, the college athletes.
The athletes.
And, well, and it's only been really within the last 3 years that they began the college pay
2 years,
system.
I think it's 2 years.
It's been more. 3? No, it's been a little more, but the real big money has started in the last 3 years. So NIL, name, image, likeness, has been the NCAA's attempt to ensure that college players got paid something. Personally, and there's no salary cap, by the way.
No.
So these players can get paid anything, right? Now, there has been long the talk that players used to get paid under the table. Some of the biggest boosters for every school were car dealers, car dealerships. They would slip a car here to
it caused a lot of trouble back then because it was illegal then.
All sorts of NCAA infractions and investigations. So college players deserved to make money because they make billions for the
university.
Schools. Yes. Right? What I do think would be a great enhancement is for the NCAA and or the big conferences. I know the federal government is looking at it and the president has actually issued an order, but they need to get an executive order. They need to get to the point where all players get something.
Yes.
Right.
Even if it's the 85th man on
the roster.
I'm using college football now where you're allowed 85 scholarships. Even if it's that 85th man on the roster, every one of them should at least get a 401k contribution. Something that can go for them that they can use for their future, right? That way, everyone that comes through, you get an education, but if they could come up with a pool of money that the non-starters and the non-star players, so set a threshold that if you make below X, you participate in NIL. If you make above that, then you're good because you're going to be being paid in the millions. And one of the things that I said off mic is just this year, they're estimating that our star receiver, Jeremiah Smith, is making somewhere around $4 to $5 million. Another university swooped in and tried to get him to go into transfer portal and offered him $6.5 million. Now he could have easily just jumped in the portal, disappeared, and gone for more money. And there's no controls around it. There's no salary cap. So to answer your question, I think it's a net positive because the players deserve to be played across all these sports. What I do believe is the big conferences need to get together because truthfully, I've given up on the NCAA as an organization.
They're way behind.
They have become so irrelevant. I think the big conferences need to get together, especially the Power 5 conferences, and say, you know what? Let's put together a framework for student athletes, and here is what NIL is going to look like, and perhaps also use the big sports that drive the revenue. Because let's face it, American football and basketball are the two sports that drive the real revenues. Take those two sports and not just fund your sports department, but come up with a pool that all of your student athletes can get some form of benefit. Whether you're playing volleyball, whether you're in wrestling, whatever you're doing on scholarship, just make sure that everyone at least gets something in a 401k in addition to your...
I think it's that way in the tennis ranks and the golf ranks. If the guy is way down, he gets something at the end of a tournament.
But is this like, what would you say, it's like the end of amateurism? As it used to be?
Yes. I don't know. I don't think they've got it qualified as such, but it is.
Once you're getting paid,
yeah,
it's part professional, right? The college level, at that level, $4 million. That's a pro.
Listen, and some are making way more.
Yes, exactly.
So so it is effectively the end.
Yeah.
Not only are they getting paid, back in the day, if you transferred, you had to sit out a year.
Yes.
And that's why a lot of people wouldn't transfer, because who's going to transfer, then not play for an entire season
and then try to come
back? Now, you can transfer, you can enter the portal. I was watching a game, and it was so interesting to hear the announcers talk about a quarterback. He had entered the portal twice in this off-season since the bowl season ended. He left his school, transferred out, and transferred back.
Wow.
Yeah, I saw that somewhere. Yeah.
He transferred back. I mean, so that the amateurism, as you've said, Dionne, is really completely out the window now across a lot of sports.
Yeah.
But Lockie, we haven't talked NFL now.
Well, so we got to turn the page.
Yeah, okay, we have 10 minutes. We can turn the page.
Before we do, I'm putting down my stake, and I don't think anybody's going to be surprised. I am predicting that my Ohio State Buckeyes are going to be repeat champs, the first since Georgia repeated. That's my prediction for the end of the season.
Well, I would say...
Someone just said, not going to happen. I call no names, but I point fingers.
Well, the way that everything is shaped now, I think that's a good prediction, because they're strong defense, like you said, and the quarterback is meshed in, and everything is motoring, 16 cylinders, I guess you'd call it at this time, and they've got a tune-up game actually this weekend that should give them another process of getting more fine-tuned. And but I think that LSU. I think LSU is going to be there, and you can't discount Clemson, because I think they'll have a recovery. It's going to be pretty tough for them to crawl back up from where they're at now, but they also have some really marquee games coming up, which could vault them way back up in the standings.
That's right.
But
if they beat Florida State.
Yeah.
Then that's going to be a big boon for them. Florida State's it's early, right?
Yeah.
That's the point we keep making, Dionne.
Yeah.
Listen, one loss at
Anything
this point
can happen. Yes.
is irrelevant. But
we might come back after the season.
Yeah. Hey, come back after the season. Let's talk about it. Yeah.
So JJ is like, he's wiping his hands now. Yeah, that bold prediction. I can't wait.
And they may not be in such good spirits at the end of the season. You never know.
Yeah, we both may be limping in here.
Oh my goodness! And now to the NFL, where I read where Aaron Rodgers was officially traded to is it New York Jets?
No,
he was at New York, the Jets.
I went to Pittsburgh.
I went to Pittsburgh. How was that for you guys? What do you think?
Well, it's difficult to be an older player in any sport and be dominant still.
Yeah.
He's trying to do the thing that probably Tom Brady is defined for, which was being ageless, right?
Yes.
So he was a free agent, and he went to Pittsburgh, and he looked impressive in his first game. He actually played the Jets, so that was interesting, or an interesting twist, I should say. But I don't anticipate any huge things from that team, to be honest. My cousin, who lives in Tampa, been in Tampa since the mid-'60s. Back in those days, we didn't have any football team in Tampa, so he became a huge Steelers fan. So I know that he's all excited after week one. But my probably did give away. My grandfather moved to Tampa in the 50s, and so I first started going to Tampa when I was 4 years old. And so I have lots of first and second and now third cousins all living in Tampa. And so Tampa was basically my U.S. city,
right?
Because of all of my family being there. And so, of course, I'm a big Tampa Bay Buccaneers fan when it comes to NFL. We squeaked one out this weekend. I don't think we have the horses to be able to compete for a championship. But
when was the last time for Tampa they won the championship?
Brady came in and won the Super Bowl his first year, so as a starter.
Yeah.
And so I see us being a solid team, but not a team that's going to compete with the Eagles and perhaps the Washingtons and the and the Green Bay Packers. I think they're really going to be the class, I think, of the NFC. I think those three are probably going to really feature toward the end of the season. What do you think, Locke?
Yeah, well, I think, in reference to Tampa, I think their quarterback, he's a good quarterback, but he just can't, get over the hill with it, the same way when he was at Cleveland, and but I think that the team that you have to watch is this, and this is in one of the other conferences, San Diego. And they're loaded, and even Las Vegas, and that's where Tom Brady has some influence, I believe.
He's a part owner now.
Yeah. So it's going to be interesting. Of course, they're just out of the chute this past weekend, and I don't think there was really too many surprises that happened, and I think the Ravens-Bills game was a Sunday night.
Yeah, that was something else.
Yeah, 41 to 40. I think everybody really expected the Ravens to win that game, But and that's all of these, especially that game, could have very telling effects at the end of the year as to how the the playoffs stack up.
Sure, but I mean, it's funny you mentioned the Chargers, right? I mean, they certainly had that big win Friday night, first game in, I guess they were down in Brazil.
Mm-hmm.
They beat the Chiefs, the mighty Kansas City Chiefs. Mm-hmm. So that was a big win for them. So you're right. They're going to be a sneaky team in terms of they got bunks in the playoffs in the first round this past season, but I think they're going to have learned from that and come much more prepared this year. I think that Sunday night matchup, look, I think that's probably an AFC preview. I still think it's going to be Bills Ravens. I think they're going to be the class of the AFC. I think that's going to be the two teams. I mean, I hate to be the guy that bets against Patrick Mahomes.
Well, yeah. That's what
But Mr. Banks, what's your team? Who's your team for NFL?
Well, I used to be a Baltimore Colts fan, but I like to watch a good football game. And Tampa, I'm kind of pulled towards Tampa. Even though I lived in Miami, I was never really pulled towards the Dolphins, and because when they brought Shula in to play to coach the Dolphins, I thought that they really did their coach, because they fired Wilson, and he had Dolphins right at the peak there. So Shula came in, and he had the bowl full. So he and
took him over the top.
Yeah. That kind of soured me to the Dolphins, but Tampa Bay and Patrick Mahomes.
Listen, it's you. If you ask 100 people who follow NFL, it's hard to go against the guy that's accepted as the best player and the best quarterback.
Yes,
right, and he is. So if I was a gambling man and I had to reach into the pocket and actually put money where my mouth is, it would be very, very difficult for me not to pick the Chiefs. But just purely looking at it and looking at sort of law of averages, right? I think the Chiefs have made 3 straight Super Bowls. I think it's 5 straight AFC championships, something like that, which is incredible dominance, right? Absolutely incredible. They would do 2 times defending champs when they came in. First team to repeat in 30-something years in the NFL. So, best coach, best quarterback, great defense, great defensive coordinator. They got all the pieces. There's no doubt about it. But I'm just going on a gut feeling. Okay. My gut feeling is somewhere in that Baltimore, Buffalo. I just think one of those two guys, Lamar Jackson or Josh Allen, I think is going to have a breakthrough year and finally make the Super Bowl.
Awesome. And what about the biggest news of the NFL right now, which is the Taylor Swift effect? Come on, TNT are about to lock it down. It was the number one news headlines when they told the world about their engagement on August 26th. Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift.
Yeah.
Well,
go ahead, look.
That certainly adds a little color to
it. Yeah, it sure does.
Listen, let me tell you, right? And for those who are purists who, scoff and turn their nose up at that sort of thing, I'll say this.
Mm-hmm.
There is, in my opinion, there's no entertainment cooperation. And sports is entertainment.
Yes, it is.
Sports entertains us, right? We love it. We're passionate about differing types of sports. The NFL knows how to milk and get every ounce out of every orange like you wouldn't believe. And let me tell you, they have played that whole Taylor Swift, Travis Kelce angle masterfully. And the truth is, I look at it like this. It's brought new eyeballs and people who would never have had any interest in the sport.
In the sport,
And I think that's good for any sport. I think any sport getting new fan bases, irrespective of how you get them, I think is very, very good for the sport. So I like it. I'm not one of those that say, "Oh, stop short." I mean, I've heard people saying, "Oh, but you're shooing her enough." I mean, listen, it's about
it's a part of it.
Entertainment.
It's a part of it, right?
Yeah.
When one of the most influential and popular persons get engaged, was girlfriend and now got engaged to what is a future Hall of Fame tight end in Travis Kelce, what are you going to get? Of course you're going to get tons of media attention.
Yes.
So I love it, to be honest with you. I like it.
Yeah, it's a nice little sparkler to the whole thing.
That's right. Yeah.
Anything else before you guys head out? Any last words?
Well, I think
about your matchups this weekend.
Well, there'll be matchups, and like I say, we might ask you to invite us back at the end of the season.
Once you're not walking in here limping.
Well, Dion, I want to thank you for having us. This show has had its ebbs and flows, and lots of us have come on and loved coming on with Lockie.
Yes.
I just say that there's been so many people that have come through over the years and participated in the show that it's good, but I think given what we've done and the fact that whilst it hasn't been on every single year to this level, it certainly has been running. Like, how long have you actually done this show now? What do you think the first time you did this show in terms of an NFL preview, college football preview?
We probably did something when the first Super Bowl, the first Super Bowl was shown here down at the Galleon Beach.
So there you go. So I mean, so it's not like this is a Johnny come lately
right
thing.
This is something that's been happening annually.
I mean, that was a marquee sports event here in Cayman.
Right.
Thanks to Lord, I can't even remember his name now, from Stereo City was at the time Everett.
Okay, Everett Liga.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that was at the early introduction of satellites. The satellite receivers to Cayman.
There you go.
And he set up a whole system down at the Galleon. The only room they had, their big dance room, and it was really I don't think it was total sellout. They didn't have room for all of them, and that kind of really put a big spark into Cayman's affinity, to U.S. style football.
So Dion, my thing is, I think that we should, while Mr. Banks is here with us, I believe we should give people their flowers when they can hear it and then appreciate it. And I would hope that the leadership at Radio Cayman would see fit that we say that we're going to ensure that we have this as a show every year. and I'm sure that there's persons like myself. We were supposed to actually have 3 other people here tonight,
Right.
but for
And
varying reasons they couldn't make it.
And it was supposed to be last week, Tuesday as well.
And that's kind of what threw a lot of the scheduling off with those guys. So there's a lot of people that follow NFL and follow college religiously who are interested, and I just think that we should give this. I'm not good at naming things, but I think that we should give the show a proper name that includes Mr. Banks and have it as the annual
and
blank NFL and college preview show.
So we will work on a name for January, right? That's the end of the season.
That would be the end of season. Yes,
Okay.
that would be great.
Yes, and then I have names for both of you when you get in, right? We have sporting names. We have Rolly Roll and we have Lucky. So we good.
I love it.
So we're not calling each other minister here.
No, I'm here.
We're not calling him minister.
No, ma'am.
In January, we're calling him Rolly Roll and we're calling him Lucky.
That's right. I'm here.
He's wearing a different hat today.
I'm here as an impassioned fan, taking a little time out with one of the men that I've looked up to, since I've gotten to know him a few decades ago, and we share that common bond that we both just love American football.
Yeah. And I appreciate you taking your time from caucus to be with us here tonight. That's pretty interesting.
Well, I told my colleagues I couldn't let
me
the
down.
side down. Well, I couldn't let Lucky down.
Couldn't let me down either.
Couldn't let Dion.
Didn't he let me down?
You had a lot of pressure,
Yeah. He couldn't let me down, but he better not let you down. It's very different.
Well, after all, you are my cousin's wife, so that would have been difficult as well, Let an ANGLIN down. That would have been a double whammy.
I tell you. Alrighty, well, thank you, gentlemen, so much, Mr. Banks. Thank you yet again for another show and always encouraging the NFL showdown. All right, so we appreciate that as well, and for all you do for sports. Also, it's not just news. He's a great sportsman, and not just football, baseball, basketball. He's into everything, right?
Mm-hmm.
So thanks a lot for that as well, and we're looking forward to January. All right, for the close of the seasons. So that's a wrap on today's deep dive into the 2025 football season. A huge thank you to our special guest, Mr. Ralston Anglin and Mr. Loxley Banks. Thank you all so much for bringing the insight, the stats, and the stories behind the scoreboard. Appreciate
and
it.
And the command affinity with the sports.
Yes, definitely. All right, if you would like to be featured on our show, please feel free to reach out at sportsextrakman@gmail.com. Stay plugged in. Follow us here on Radio Cayman Sports Extra on all our social media pages for updates and all things sports across the island. And of course, if you've missed this episode, feel free to head over to Radio Cayman's YouTube channel for tonight's full edition and our Facebook page as well. I'm DIONNE Anglin. Catch you next time. Good night and God bless.
Night.
Sports Extra. From 7 to 8 p.m., highlights of local sports around the Cayman Islands. Sports Extra.
It's amazing to see the improvement of the team.
Sports Extra, keeping you informed.
You are listening to Radio Cayman, the voice of the